The story opens in a world where some humans have been given special powers. Humans who do not have any powers have to dig inside the dungeons to find rocks, and by selling those rocks, they can make money. Among those humans is Hyunmoo. He does the same job as others, i.e., finding vulnerable people in the dungeons. As for Hyunmoo, he was an orphan and poor. He spends his days like everyone else. One day, he finds a rock named Crystal Moss in the dungeon, but he fails to collect it as the dungeon is about to explode. And he, along with his team, had no other choice but to leave the dungeon immediately. One day, a lawyer named Robert Lee approaches him. He tells him that his late father left a necklace for him. Hyunmoo does not believe him as he was an orphan. After handing him the necklace, Robert leaves. This makes him confused, so to get a suggestion, he heads out to meet Yu-min. She is his college research assistant. She recognizes the stone as a return stone. After both of them are done discussing the necklace, she changes the topic to Lee Jitty. He is rated the 5-star dungeon for the 3rd time. Lee Jitty is all over the news. Hyunmoo couldn't stop thinking about the necklace. While doing so, he accidentally presses the rock, due to which explodes. When Hyunmoo gains consciousness again, he finds himself in a place called Hell. He again finds the same crystal rocks there and plans to take them to make money. At that time, he is poisoned as he feels paralyzed and loses consciousness again. When he gains consciousness again, he finds himself in a different location. A notification board just pops up in front of him and informs him about his first mission, i.e., he has to survive. No matter what he does, he dies immediately, but his skills keep upgrading. After his 14 deaths, he figured out that the longest time he survived was when he just did nothing but breathe in the fine dust. So he plans to do it. That's when he has a flashback to when he was a child and was taught about breathing techniques. He does what he remembers in the present. After 41 minutes, he dies again, but this time his level increases. Hyunmoo keeps surviving as he dies for the 28th time. But after his 28th death, his blood turned into poison because he inhaled a lot of fine dust. Hyunmoo gets up to look around the area, and he was surprised to see crystal mosses everywhere. So he picks one up and decides to keep it with him. That's when he finds out about his inventory. An excited Hyunmoo turns around only to find out that level 3 mosquitoes are attacking him in large numbers. So Hyunmoo tries to run, but no matter how hard he tries, the mosquitoes attack him. Hyunmoo does it again, but this time he was able to survive for 6 hours. When he wakes up again, all of the mosquitoes leave him alone, as they were all killed by drinking his poisonous blood. At that time, he was given the title Hell's Strongest, and he was also able to learn a new skill called Dismantle. Although Hyunmoo still has no idea what he would be able to do with this skill, so he picks up a chair and throws it. Just as he does this, every piece of the chair dismantles like it was never put together. Hyunmoo wished at the time that he had the skill to create anything. His wish is granted immediately as a new skill has been added. This makes him excited as he picks up a stick from the dismantled chair. Hyunmoo gets up to know more about the area. While roaming around, Hyunmoo finds more crystal mosses, so he considers using all of them but then reconsiders due to the impending dangers. After looking around for some time, he finds a newspaper, so he picks it up to read it. As the language written is unknown to him when he tries to read it, he activates his language skills. He comes across a story about Jitty in the newspaper. This makes him think that this part of the world is somehow connected to the one he came from. After some time, he puts down the newspaper to find anything else that he can use in the future, but all he finds are dead mosquitoes, so he dismantles them to make something useful out of them. When he dismantles them, he finds mosquito stingers, wings, and his rare blood. This makes him think that he can use any of this stuff, so he tries to make something, and he succeeds in making the rare darts. He attempted to make anything else out of the darts because they were consumable, and instead, he made an egg, which is a legendary item. The system warns him that if he doesn't take care of the item, he won't be able to find out what's inside. Just as he places the egg near his heart, a goblin walks in. This makes him confused, but the goblin finds him and starts attacking him. Both engage in a fight, and that's when Hyunmoo gets an idea. He decides to use some of the darts on him. Just as he does, the right arm of the goblin falls. Hyunmoo thinks it was because of his poisonous blood, as the goblin has disappeared. Suddenly, a goblin attacks him from behind and knocks him out. This led the goblin to believe that all of the humans had died, as he left him alone. Hyunmoo wakes up after some time, only to get notified that he was able to complete his first task. As for the reward, he has been given a silver box, which will turn into a golden box. He has been told that he could use the return stone to go back, as there are still 14 days left before he gets his next quest. This makes him happy as he presses the return stone. Finally, Hyunmoo was able to go back to where he came from, and he couldn't be happier than that. Hyunmoo tries to destroy the necklace because he does not want it anymore, but he is unable to do that. Yu-min spots Hyunmoo in the rain and rushes over to him. She immediately hands him her jacket and warns him not to go outside because he will be mana poisoned. She takes him to a safe location. She tells him to take a bath and use main contamination remover. When he comes out of the bath, he asks him about the date today. She tells him that he's been missing for 2 days straight. After some chit-chat, Yumin heads out to buy him some clothes, as the previous ones were torn apart and contaminated. When she leaves the room, Hyunwoo checks his inventory, only to find the gold box that he has received as a reward. The system informs him of his SSG rank and that he possesses a legendary helping battle skill. He soon discovers that he is the 8th legendary skill bearer. Yumin walks in with clothes for him, after which she serves him a cup of tea. Hyunwoo asks her about her research project and shows her the crystal moss. Yumin was surprised to see 1 kilogram of crystal moss, as she had been working on this for a long time. Yumin was still in shock as the crystal mosses were not only big but also in their purest form. Hyunwoo tells him that he has many crystal mosses. He asks for Yumin's help to sell them, although Yumin wants to have it for herself, so Hyunwoo comes up with an idea. He offers her the item if she helps him sell them without revealing his identity or asking where they came from. Yumin agrees but tells him about the problem. The problem with 5-star pure crystal moss is that you should have the necessary papers for it to sell. Listening to this, Hyunwoo breaks it into 2, as now the size and paper problems have been resolved. A week has passed, and both of them are still selling crystal mosses. One day, while Yumin leaves to meet the buyer, Hyunwoo asks permission to tag along. Despite Yumin's assurances that she will be fine, he insists on coming, which Yumin agrees to. Both of them head out to meet the buyer named Park Hwizo. When Park first met Hyunwoo, he couldn't help but notice that he wasn't what he appeared to be. He is powerful, and he could be the one responsible for what is going on in these dungeons. They do their dealing, and both parties part ways. After this, Park goes to meet Jitty and tells him about Hyunwoo. He asks for permission to let him gather some information about the duo. It looks like Lee Jitty has been buying crystal mosses from the people who went into the dungeons. A few more days have passed, and Hyunwoo is busy working out. After some time, he gets tired, so he takes some rest and thinks about hell. That's when he learns that his new mission only has 18 hours left. Slowly, Hyunwoo started to understand the concept of hell and the purpose of the return stone. And time passes in real life as well. But he still doesn't understand why his location changes every time he enters hell or real life. Another notification appears in front of him, informing him of his role as a battle helper. After this, he starts practicing boxing when he realizes that, when this skill is activated, it remembers all of the movements of the person. Soon enough, Hyunwoo gets a new mission in which he has to kill 5 scarecrows, so he uses his return stone to arrive in hell. When he reaches there, he begins to search the place. Suddenly, he discovers 5 scarecrows but no level. Hyunwoo takes some time to think about how they would work. When nothing works for him, he launches a punch at one of them. Suddenly, all of the scarecrows become active as they have matched their level with Hyunwoo. They start attacking Hyunwoo. He does not like any of it because, in real life, being on level 7 would give him advantages, but here he is only being treated as a beginner, although Hyunwoo thinks he can handle them as they are slower than the goblins. For this, he activates his battle helper skill. A fight breaks out between the two parties, and Hyunwoo is having a hard time dealing with 5 scarecrows at one time. All 5 of them leave him and surround him as his health starts decreasing. Hyunwoo thinks about running from them, but then he realizes that he didn't even get the chance to take down any one of them. So he decides to give it one more try. For that, he uses a heinous club. It is not durable, but it works well. When he hits one of the scarecrows with it, their hand falls out. Hyunwoo thought that he might win through this, but they all took out their weapons, which resulted in his death. When he regains consciousness, he discovers himself surrounded by scarecrows. So he decides to tie them up and kill them one by one. However, one of the scarecrows was able to attack and kill him again. He gets revived 4 times and gets killed 4 times. By now, Hyunwoo is getting tired. He dies again, however, because he was attacked in the eye, allowing the scarecrow to gain an advantage over him. Hyunwoo has been killed by scarecrows nearly 8 times now. Now it's his 9th attempt. However, he has started to realize the pattern of movement and attacks of the scarecrow. So now he has understood that he does not have to destroy the scarecrows. So he begins attacking them in such a manner that they stop moving. In this way, he cleared his quest. Hyunwoo collapses on the floor, exhausted. He thinks that this beginner level is way too complicated for a beginner. As a reward, he gets a cradle in heaven. It is a piece of cloth that aids in the repair of the body's damage. Hyunwoo is beyond happy to have a legendary item, but he is still figuring out how to use it. He tries to tie it around his head to protect himself from harm but later abandons the plan. When he opens his inventory to put it in, he sees the egg that he got, so he puts the cloth on the egg. But nothing happens, so he thought that he should just sell it. When suddenly the egg cracks and he sees a sleeping fairy inside it. When the fairy wakes up, she bites him, so he thought that it might be a monster. So he pulls himself up, and the fairy says that she is hungry. He offers her candy, which she does not want. When he asks her what she wants, she points toward him. She sucks his blood for a while and leaves him without bleeding. When Hyunwoo asks her about her identity, she tells him that she is a fairy who will eat all the living organisms when the world ends. After saying this, she flies into the air while Hyunwoo is thinking about killing her right away. This left him in shock about what just happened, as he keeps thinking about her. When she comes back, he names her Rinian while she names him Butler. He asks her to follow him, but after she promises him one thing, he makes her promise that she will not eat him. If she is really hungry, she will eat someone else but not him. When they both leave the place, she notices the dead scarecrows. So she asks about them, and Hyunwoo flexes about his victory. When he notices that one of them is ripped into two, which he didn't do. At that moment, an additional trait was given to Hyunwoo. So he picks up a scarecrow and tests his power on it. Just as he punches the scarecrow, it breaks into pieces. Rinian was amazed to see such strength. Suddenly, two other scarecrows wake up and tell him that Hyunwoo is now a superhuman and point in that direction. So Hyunwoo clears all the obstacles, only to discover a human skeleton with a note on the table. Rinian picks up a bone to eat while Hyunwoo picks up the letter. The person who wrote the letter didn't mention his name but told me about how everything went down 3 years ago. Just as Hyunwoo is finished reading the letter, Rinian shows him a return stone that she found on the table. This return stone looks different from the one Hyunwoo has. Just as he holds the stone, a bright light shines for quite some time. When the light goes down, Hyunwoo notices a pattern on his palm. A notification appears in front of him, telling him about the stars watching him. Rinian tells Hyunwoo that he got it before leaving him. While the surroundings around Hyunwoo change, indicating that he has been taken somewhere. Hyunwoo searches everywhere but finds no one. He even calls Rinain, but to no avail. Suddenly, he gets notified that Barul has left without meeting him because he is disappointed in him. All of this is making Hyunwoo angry, as he has no idea who Barul is or where he is currently. After some time, he is told why he is there. It is because of the return stone he has, which Rinian gave him. It was not a return stone but a star fragment. The fragment holds the special powers of the owners of the stars. As Hyunwoo has one of the fragments, the owners of the star want him to be their Kim. Suddenly, Hyunwoo hears a noise, and when he looks back, he finds the whispering star. Soon enough, various stars start to emerge, and each one offers him a different role. When he is asked to choose one, he replies that he needs to know more about the stars to make a decision. So the system tells him about Gaul, who is also known as the Shattering Star. He rules over the daggers and poisons and does not reveal himself. While the second star, Verd, also known as the Wailing Star, rules over his army of dead people. The third star was the Starving Star known as Yagulim. He wants to eat everything, and the people under his command are always starving. The fourth star was Monstrel, the Whispering Star. She shines the brightest among all and deceives people using her powers. The last star was Arden, the Conquering Star. He has so much hatred for the world that he just wants to burn everything. Hyunwoo was surprised to learn about all these stars because each one of them was entirely different from the others. Hyunwoo asks for the price before telling him his decision, but the system tells him that he just has to obey. Hyunwoo starts a conversation with the stars so that he can have more time to think about them. Meanwhile, Arden loses interest in him and leaves him, while the rest of the stars decide to give him some time to think. When all the stars have left, Hyunwoo is back near the man. Monstrel approaches him and gives him a legendary skill as a bribe. But this does not convince him, as he wants to know more about the stars before making any decision. After this incident, he heads back to the real world. It's been almost 3 days since he returned. Although Hyunwoo is getting better in the other world and has earned many studs in the real world, every time he comes up, he looks like a beggar and asks Yumin for help. Again, he decides to meet her and tells her that he needs to buy a house. Yumin tells him that he cannot, as in the real world he has no job and no level. And the money he earns is coming from illegal sources, so he thinks there's a way out. While doing so, he makes up his mind that he wants all the stars, so that he might be able to rule the world. Lee Jidi, on the other hand, makes headlines once more because he intends to visit the Biku dungeon, which has been closed for quite some time. This news caught the attention of both of them, but Hyunwoo thinks that Lee Jidi is doing this to get attention as he was the first to raid a 5-star dungeon. While eating lunch, the two talked about the news. Hyunwoo decides to go for the recruitment so that he may get a rank. The next day, he goes to the location, which is overcrowded. There he meets a man who helps him get forward by pushing him in front. In that way, Hyunwoo gets to the first table, where he is taught about the 3 steps. The first one is the identity check, where they check the person's identity card. Second is the stats check, where some blood is taken from the person and checked. Hyunwoo got 87, although the number does not matter. Third and last is the skills check, in which he has to put his arm inside the machine and touch the marble inside. When he places his arm in the machine and touches the marble, the machine malfunctions. So Hyunwoo pulls his arm outside in a state of panic. But the doctor standing next to him assures him that everything will be fine and that he only needs to do it once more. But this time too, the number the machine shows is higher than normal. Hyunwoo is allowed to go outside for the result. As the result was about to be announced, the crowd was divided into 3 lines: attackers, defenders, and ambiguous skills. However, Hyunwoo's name was not included in any of that. So he goes to the counter again and asks for information. There, she tells him that he will have another test with Taesung. She guides him through all the worst possible situations and then hands him the necessary papers. As the test would be held in a dungeon, he needs to go through the papers. Lee Jitty arrives there at that moment and asks about the preparations. The manager tells him to rest assured. We then learn that the Red Butterfly group will be dealing with all of the newcomers. Lee Jitty asks about the newcomers. The managers tell him about Hyunwoo, who has unusual skills. Lee seems a bit interested in him and tells the manager to keep an eye on him, while Hyunwoo is waiting outside Gate B for the dungeon to be opened, when a man simply gives him something without telling him anything. Soon the dungeon opens, and he and the other participants enter. All of the participants are given the task of collecting as many tiles as they can in the next 3 hours. When they get the details of the task, one of the participants asks Hyunwoo if he wants to work together, but he declines, much to everyone's surprise. They try to persuade Hyunwoo, but he is not having any of it. When one of the participants raises his hand to hit him, he beats him easily and takes his tiles from him. So Hyunwoo asks the rest of the participants to hand him their tiles, and one of them, known as the Red Snake, agrees. The person he had beaten badly had the shield skill, and without it, the other person does not want to fight with him. The manager and Lee Jitty, who are discussing the situation, watch all of this. Among the participants is the member of Red Butterfly who gets face to face with one of her enemies in the dungeon. When the manager asks about the monster, Lee tells him that his name is Mushroom Droid and that it is in its early stages. The fight induces tension between the participants and the Mushroom Droid. The other participants are struggling to fight with them, while the Red Butterfly is fighting alone. Hyunwoo uses his power and dismantles the monsters easily. When it was time for the result, he got the first position with 16 tiles, while the Red Butterfly got 9 tiles and Hongryong got 7 tiles. Hyunwoo was relieved as he was ready for something difficult. But instead, he got an easy task according to his level. As a reward, he gets some leather bands. Even though Hyunwoo was expecting something else, he decides to make the best of it. To protect himself, he employs his abilities and constructs arms and legs. When the Red Butterfly got the result, she looked dissatisfied, as she wanted to be in the first position. The other participants recognize her and attack her. She dodges the attacks coming from the 3 participants. When she was able to take them down, she noticed that everyone had surrounded her and was ready to go against her. Just as she was about to attack, her group told her to let go of them. She instead goes behind Hyunwoo. Lee Jitty, on the other hand, is talking about Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo, on the other hand, senses that an ability user is coming for him. It turns out that he was correct, as a Red Butterfly attacked him. She was twice as high as him on the 14th level. He tries to survive her attacks, but she is much stronger than him. When Hyunwoo realized that he wouldn't be able to survive her attacks, he decided to use his battle helper skills on her. So he activates his powers. Both of them get into a serious fight. Although the Red Butterfly was on level 14, she still lost against his powers. When she lost, she simply asked him to hand over his tiles to her, which of course he refused to do. At that moment, a Red Snake interrupts and pins him to the ground. This surprises Hyunwoo, so the Red Snake finally introduces himself. Red Butterfly stops her group, as now she thinks that Hyunwoo is like her. Just as this conversation is going on, the 3 hours have ended. It was the time of the final result, and Hyunwoo got the second position with 69 tiles while the Red Butterfly got the first position with 88 tiles. This result was like a shock to everyone as to how the game could be changed so quickly. Hyunwoo does not understand this and decides to leave the topic and exit the place. Red Butterfly stops him and asks him about the arm he is wearing, while her friends ask Hyunwoo to apologize to her. This makes him angry as he was playing fairly while Red Butterfly cheated, so he uses his domination skill. His skills work on Hongryong as she falls to the ground. Hyunwoo stops when he sees that her health is getting worse, so he decides to make something of the place. Lee Jitty wants to meet Hyunwoo as he witnessed everything. Hyunwoo is in the locker room, thinking about what he did. When he is approached by the secretary, he tells him that he passed the task successfully. He hands him the card and tells him that the clan will assist him in reaching his goals. That's when Hyunwoo asks whether they all can help him reach the stars. This confuses the secretary as Hyunwoo rejects the offer to join them. The secretaries tell everything to Lee Jitty. and none of them had any idea what Hyunwoo was talking about. When Lee asks about the red butterfly, the sect tells him that she has accepted their offer. This makes him happy as he heads out to his home. On the other hand, Yoonmin comes to pick up Hyunwoo. On the way back, she asks about the box. He responds that the red butterfly cheated on the test but gave him the prize because he earned it. When he opens the box, he sees a rare pair of grip gloves. Hyunwoo likes it. Yoonmin tells him about how Park Hwizo brought the last piece of their crystal moss. This makes him suspicious, as why would anyone need crystal moss in such a large quantity? Hyunwoo searches inside the box and finds a check for $50 million. So both of them go to have a nice dinner after lunch. When they arrive home, something was off about it, so Yoonmin instructs Hyunwoo to return to the car. He obeys, and when he was on his way, he found Park Hwizo. He tells Hyunwoo to accept the offer and join them. But as soon as he says no, Park Hwizo attacks him. To defend himself, he wears the grip gloves that the red butterfly was meant to have. As Hyunwoo prepares himself for the attack, Park Hwizo takes out his sword. Hyunwoo calls him a cheater, but they got into a fight. During the fight, Hyunwoo tries to use the dominant skill but fails. Park Hwizo is still very strong and has put in a lot of practice time. Park Hwizo got the upper hand on him as Hyunwoo fell to the ground. When Park Hwizo thought that he was able to pin down Hyunwoo, he used his poisonous blood on him. Park Hwizo takes out a special medicine that helps him stand again. That's when Park Hwizo understood that he could not beat him, so he tells him to accept the offer as he does not want to fight. He asks Hyunwoo about his group, but Hyunwoo clarifies that he works alone. Park Hwizo tells him again to join Lee Jitty, as it would benefit him. But he instead offers Park Hwizo to work under him, much to his surprise. Park Hwizo laughs at his offer and tells him to stop dreaming, so he dresses himself up and decides to leave. Hyunwoo stops him as he wants to know more about the people with whom he works, so he offers to work with him again. Park Hwizo does not think much of it and flexes about some great members of his group, including Lee Jitty. When Hyunwoo asks what is special about him, he tells him that he reached level 20 in just 2 months. Hyunwoo tells him that he can prove his worth to him as he will reach level 20 in 2 weeks, and if he did so, Park Hwizo would have to work with him. Park Hwco laughs at him and leaves. Hyunwoo returns to Hell after such a long time, where he was able to find and fight a monster. After he defeated the monster, his level was immediately raised to level 15. At that point, the system informs him that Star Arden is watching over him. But due to the fight, his hand gets hurt, so he bandages it. Finale Reneen appears before him and offers her help. Hyunwoo asks her about where she went, but she remains quiet. Hyunwoo tells her that he is getting better and better, but he wants to fight that goblin, which he was unable to fight before. He was the strongest of them. Just as he is talking, the goblin appears behind him, and the goblin cries for his loss. Reneen quickly leaves Hyunwoo alone. Hyunwoo calls the goblin and gets his attention. Both of them get into a fight, in which he dies. When he has revived again, he is given the new mission to kill the goblin with the black hand. It was the same goblin he was looking to fight. Just as he gets up, he is killed again, and this is repeated 6 times. It is his 6th try, and he is having second thoughts about giving up as he cannot fight him. But this gives him an idea. He pollutes the water with some poison. As a result, a lot of the younger goblins started to become ill and eventually die. The situation is getting worse every second. That's when the head goblin tells everyone that they should be ready for the counterattack. While he goes and finishes him once and for all. Everyone tries to stop him, but the goblin has made up his mind. As he promises to come back alive, he leaves in search of Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo finally shows up in front of him after so many days. Hyunwoo tells him that he should be ready to die in his hands as he wears a pair of gloves. When the goblin asks what he meant by that, he tells him that all he wants is to kill him, and he does not want to hurt Goblin's innocent family. So Goblin plays along with him and acts like he is ready to sacrifice himself. He even drops his sword and kneels before him. But suddenly he attacks Hyunwoo. But Hyunwoo was ready for all of this, so he counterattacked him, and they both get engaged in a fight. Soon enough, Hyunwoo gets an upper hand on him, so Goblin decides to talk to him and make a deal. He tells him to let him go away if Hyunwoo does not want to harm his family. When Hyunwoo asked for an explanation, the goblin told him that some of them are not allowed to live in this place. All of them are living because of him, and if anything happens to him, they will not be able to survive and eventually die. So he asks for mercy from Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo thinks for a while and decides to still get his revenge, as Goblin always killed him and never gave him a fair chance to play. Hyunwoo killed the goblin. After killing him, he sits beside his body. That's when Reneen arrives. He tells her to eat him but lets him look into the goblin first, as he wants to know how a goblin can be so powerful. Moreover, he was curious because his level increases 3 times as he killed him. That's when he notices his hand covered in writing. When Hyunwoo lifts it, lighting emerges resulting in a scar on his hand from the ghoul star. This makes him confused, so he decides to head back to the real world. When he reaches Yumin's house, she doesn't respond when he knocked on the door. Hyunwoo finds Yumin very upset, so she tells her that she needs to know everything. That's when Hyunwoo agrees to tell her everything as he involved her by asking her for help each time. To calm her down, Hyunwoo promises her that he will always come back to real life. The next day, Hyunwoo decides to meet with Park Hwizo, so he was thinking about a way to contact him when he arrives in front of Yumin's house. Hyunwoo excitedly tells him that his level has increased 13 times in 2 weeks, but Park Hwizo tells him that there is no way he can check it. This implements that he refused to work under him, so Hyunwoo tells him that he wants to double the prices of the crystal mosses. This makes him angry, but Hyunwoo tells him that he cannot stop him. Chapter 22. Hyunwoo tells him that he can sell it to anyone at any rate he wants because he is the only person selling this. This was not enough to convince Park Hwizo, so Hyunwoo gives him a ring as a gift. The ring will help Hyunwoo to track Park Hwizo. This makes him surprised as the ring was a rare legendary item. Finally, Park Hwizo agrees to pay him at double the rate. Hyunwoo also takes his car and teaches at the school where Yumin teaches. There he calls her. At first Min tells him to go away, but he insists on going out. So Yumin agrees and she drives. Both go on a nice date and spend time together. The next day, Hyunwoo asks Park Hwizo to meet. Both of them agree to meet at a boxing place. Inside the ring, Park again tries to convince Hyunwoo to join T-Sung, but he was reluctant and gives him the same answer again. Park asks him about what clan he will join. Hyunwoo simply tells him that he is still thinking about it. When Park asks the reason to meet him, Hyunwoo tells him that he wants to return the car he borrowed yesterday. Hyunwoo asks whether or not Park has some information about stars. Park tells him that it is one of the things only a few people know, and he knows too little about it. The Park changes the topic and asks him whether he wants to clear a dungeon. Such a random thought of Park Hwizo confuses Hyunwoo, so he asks him to explain a bit more. Then he tells him that no matter how strong he is, he needs friends, for that he needs to go into dungeons. And also there is no record of him entering or exiting a dungeon as he uses a stone. So Hyunwoo agrees and Park Hwizo tells him to wait for his call. A few days later, upon Park Hwizo's order, Hyunwoo reaches in front of Chunggai Mountain for the dungeon. Among hunters, many local tourists also visit the place for fun. Here the dungeon is led by No Howl. She is the overseer of the Great Unknown. First, she tells everyone the rules they have to follow. After that, each of them is told to introduce themselves. She has a group of 5, among which 3 guys and 2 girls. She tells everyone that it is a 1-star dungeon and it would be easy for everyone, but she would be there to help. Those eyes catch Hyunwoo, who was standing behind everyone, so she asks him to introduce himself. After that, as a weapon, he shows her the stick he took from the goblins. No finds his skills to be interesting. That's when a team member named Park Seamoon takes out his stuff to show Hyunwoo, for him to be serious about it. No easily takes control of the situation and tells everyone to get ready to head inside. Hyunwoo sees a monster appearing behind him just as he is about to walk into the dungeon. As they are walking, No starts to tell the group that the winning condition would be the person who gets the crystal moss. Although there are other conditions too. To clear a dungeon for the first attempt, they will stick to this one. This makes Hyunwoo confident, as this is the same as the other world. As everyone has reached the entrance, Park Seamoon tries to lead the other 4 group members. For this, he tells them to cover themselves in grasses and protect their heads. So Hyunwoo interferes and tells them not to rip up the grass and take care of their knees. Park does not seem to like this, so he tells him to obey him. No breaks the disturbance and agrees with Hyunwoo. She asks him to cooperate with others too, yet she starts being suspicious of Hyunwoo, but he rests her assured that he is a newbie. Soon enough, the group was attacked by goblins. Everyone was able to fight them while No watched everyone. After they got rid of goblins, Park suggested that they should move forward, but No disagrees as she noticed the different behavior of the goblins, which does not happen. Just as they move forward, she finds some dead bodies of the goblins. No recognizes the danger and tells everyone that they all will be heading out. But for that, the group needs to find out the stone which would help them to return, as we were able to see the head goblin. But when she turns back to her members, she finds Hyunwoo missing. So she calls by his name and searches for him, but to no avail. A flashback shows that an hour earlier, when everyone was busy fighting with the goblins, Hyunwoo separated his path. He revived Kristen, the head of goblins of hell, into life. He ordered him to kill all the monster goblins. At first, he refused, but this Hyunwoo threatened to kill everyone in Kristen's tribe. However, Hyunwoo felt that something was still off because these goblins are not acting like they should, as they get easily defeated. So Hyunwoo asks him to continue while he goes to his group. An hour later, when No finds him in the busy, she tells him that he shouldn't have left on his own. For that, he immediately apologizes. She tells everyone to reach for the stone so they may return. When the group members located the stone, Park acts weirdly to get out of there as soon as possible when he was attacked by Kristen. No hops in between them immediately and starts to fight with Kristen. Hyunwoo, who was watching this, finds it interesting as No is the finest fighter of the great clan. Moreover, Kristen is the head of the goblins of hell. In this way, Hyunwoo tests No. As he watches the fight between the two, Hyunwoo has started to have second thoughts to stop what he started, but he decided not to. No, on the other hand, orders Kristen, thinking it would be like any other else. When Kristen does not obey, she decided to use her power. So she uses it, and with her powers, all of the attacks are doubled as Kristen starts bleeding. So Kristen drops a smoke bomb to get some time. Kristen makes another member his hostage. This surprises No, as not only the goblin is different but intelligent. Then he tells her to drop her weapons or it would be good for them. No just frees at the moment, thinking about what should she do. Park jumps between them but soon falls to the ground. Hyunwoo also uses his stick, so No scolds him to stop messing around as this is serious. But Hyunwoo asks her why he shouldn't do anything. This leaves No surprised. He quickly tells her that he wants to help her, plus he nearly killed his fellow members. Also, No drops her weapons. Hyunwoo judges her and thinks that if Kristen would be alive, No would be dead in a single shot. Soon, Hyunwoo starts to fight with Kristen. While No, who was angry that she wasn't able to protect her group, also decides to join Hyunwoo and tells him that she would take care of him. So Hyunwoo steps back. That's when he starts to think that night is a possibility, that Kristen is not in his control fully. The reason was Hyunwoo told him not to hurt everyone. But when Kristen made a hostage, he wanted to kill him. So Hyunwoo decides to break the chaos in time for Kristen to escape. So he orders Kristen to go back to where he is back from. So Kristen drops the hostage in No's arms and vanishes from there. This leaves everyone shocked. So No tells Hyunwoo to get everyone out of there, as she is now going to investigate the matter. When No reaches the office, she tells her story. But the worker presents there and tells her that he cannot help her as nothing have changed in a star dungeon, making No leave. Outside, on a bench, No thinks that she might be grateful that everyone was safe. Hyunwoo greets her and thanks her for the adventure. He wanted to know more about what she was able to find. She tells him that she might need some more time as she has the goblin's hat. Hyunwoo asks her help to enter difficult dungeons. So Hyunwoo gives him her card and tells him to join his clan. Hyunwoo, who wants to work alone, politely declines her offer. Back in the center, where Hyunwoo passed the 3 tests. For his official report, all the reports are made again as the machines malfunctioned on his time. And every report tells the same thing, that Hyunwoo has poisoned blood. When Yumin is told about it, she gets a massage from the Great Unknown, who wants Hyunwoo's official report before it is announced. And in return, they would give them $1 million sign cash. The offer is rejected immediately, and Yumin tells everyone to find out more about this person. She goes home to get a blood sample from Hyunwoo, while Hyunwoo is thinking that Yumin has been working in the lab for a very long period. By any chance, they know the methods to increase your level, as Hyunwoo has already reached level 20, which is the highest level. Now, he wants to find a way in which he could reach a level higher than that. Also, the time following issue Hyunwoo was facing in the past. He now understands that he can spend most of his time in hell, as the time only passes in there. So Hyunwoo returns to hell. Still, there are 9 days until he gets a new quest. For the 9 days, he, Kristen, and Renee hang together. He makes new legendary items to increase his skill. Fast forward to 9 days. Finally, he gets a new mission. He has to survive the attacks for 24 hours. Hyunwoo thinks about whether he should accept it or not. But in the end, he does, as it might help him. Just as he does, all the stars gather around to watch him. Hyunwoo does not understand that, so he looks around for clues. Then the system tells him that he has to survive attacks of the Yagulim's family. And also, Hyunwoo's body has been cursed to be tasty. Hyunwoo heads back to Renee and Kristen after accepting the quest. He tells them about the weird curse. So Renee explains to him that his blood has become sweet for everyone, and now everyone wants to have it, including herself. Just they are discussing the possibility of the attack on mosquitoes, and a very large amount attacks him. So he starts killing them one by one. Renee tells him that these mosquitoes are the smallest and fastest members of the Yagulim family. Now they have found him, which means the rest would be arriving any minute. Hyunwoo was able to get rid of the mosquitoes, so he heads outside and sees all the pigeons marking him as his target. This weirds him out, as he thought that it would be some real monsters, but now he is surrounded by mosquitoes and pigeons. Hyunwoo looks up at the sky and asks the star to send him some real monsters to fight with. When Hyunwoo finished his sentence, a flood of monsters appear in front of him, so Hyunwoo gets ready to fight. Hyunwoo starts to attack, but it looks like nothing was working on him. Hyunwoo has died so many times. He planned some plans, but all of them failed. At this point, Hyunwoo is thinking about what to do, and the only thing he can do is run. So Hyunwoo starts to run, when suddenly he starts hearing a voice. The voice was guiding Hyunwoo. At first, Hyunwoo thought that it might a ghost or he was going crazy, but the voice told him that none of the options are true. The voice even helps him get away from the monsters for some time. Then the voice reveals itself as the whispering star, Monstrel. She tells him that he should join her. She tries her best to manipulate Hyunwoo to join her. When Hyunwoo asks her why Yagulim is doing all this, she tells him that it is only because he wants to level up. For this he wants you to be eaten by his maximum family members. Monstrel even offers to be in a relationship with her, as she would respect and praise him in return. For one moment Hyunwoo thinks about the offer, but soon declines to tell Monstrel about his girlfriend in the real world. Hyunwoo did this to piss Monstrel. However, Monstrel responds to him that he deserves more than one. After this, the spider that was holding Yagoline's family members for some time lost its spider everywhere. Monstrel has now decided to make the task even more difficult for him, as he just rejected the easiest way out of all this. Soon all the spiders spread their web, and everyone is covered in spider webs. After some time, Kristen and Renane find Hyunwoo, who was wrapped in spider webs. He brings him back to his consciousness. After some time, Hyunwoo's mind starts working. Kristen tells him to leave, but Hyunwoo spots a goblin-like creature. Hyunwoo takes the hint and uses the special lens to find anything worthy of him, while Kristen tells Hyunwoo about the Six Fingers glove. When Hyunwoo wears it and holds the dagger, he gets to know that this item is real. It means that all the stuff he made earlier could be fake. But now with the glove and dagger, Hyunwoo finds himself ready for the competition. While Kristen takes Hyunwoo to a safe place, Hyunwoo tells him that he can control small mosquitoes better than larger ones. That is why the mosquitoes are attacking the other monsters. But the only problem Hyunwoo is facing is that these mosquitoes are taking a lot of his blood. So he decides to deal with the issue when some zombies start cutting the spider web. Hyunwoo quickly tells Kristen to leave, as he does not want him to get involved. So Hyunwoo kills some of the zombies and lets the other zombies feed on them. When the head of the zombies orders them to follow Hyunwoo as he is running away, as the zombies reach outside the tunnel where the monsters were waiting for him. So he used his dominant skill. In that way, monsters and zombies are fighting against each other, while the starved zombies get to eat the meat for so long. Hyunwoo was relieved when he thought about what he was able to pull off, but then he starts to think about all these people and what they were going through before extinction. Just as Hyunwoo was lost in his thoughts, a shot was fired. When Hyunwoo looks back, it was the zombie major telling everyone to aim again. Hyunwoo is more than surprised about why the spell didn't work on them. When Kristen arrives and kills the major and his soldier zombies attack Hyunwoo with a legendary Sigh of the Winter Gatherer. It is an item that helps to track humans in a given area. Kristen sarcastically tells Hyunwoo to save his thanks for later. Sigh was able to freeze some of the monsters, which gave Hyunwoo some time. But the problem starts arising when his mana starts getting low. And if mana is finished, he would have been able to dominate anyone. So he decides to come up with a new plan, and he uses one of the items which he created. He uses his mosquito power again, as this would confuse the zombies and the monsters to recognize their enemy. The plan seemed to be working when a zombie bites Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo starts to feel happy about seeing his plan work, but he reminds himself that the original task was to survive 48 hours. This would be completed only if Hyunwoo would play mine safely. After some struggle, Hyunwoo was able to get rid of the zombie, but due to his bite, he starts losing blood. Just as he solved one problem, the other arrived, because his plan might fail. With no other options left, Hyunwoo injects himself with something and screams toward the sky. Suddenly, he transforms himself into a monster. He had activated the blood for hunger. With this, he kills the monsters and drinks their blood. But this also has consequences, as Hyunwoo has lost blood due to continuous bleeding. But he tries to keep up with it because he has only a limited time, after which this spell would be over. This plan was so good that all stars got their attention again. So he tells them that he gets it, that all they do is make other people weak and then give them power. And he is not a person like that. He asks all the stars to tell him what they think about him. After that, Hyunwoo continues fighting with the monsters. But as his blood was losing, he falls to the ground, when a monster surrounds and tries to kill him. Soon enough, more and more monsters surround him. After some struggle, he was able to get back on his feet. He comes back to his senses and then goes for every single monster. He kills every one of them. When he was done with everyone, he finds the zombie major telling his army that all of them should be ashamed, as every one of them failed to get the tasty blood from themselves. When the zombie notices that Hyunwoo is approaching him, he asks for forgiveness, but now he was not in blood. The major zombie tries to counterattack Hyunwoo by firing a bullet, but it was of no use because Hyunwoo was being so powerful he killed him instantly. After he was done defeating the monsters and the zombies, he falls to the ground. As the blood of hunger deactivates, Hyunwoo comes back to his senses. He feels empty and wants to eat a lot of food. Finally, Hyunwoo was able to clear the quest. As usual, he got a silver box as a reward, which turned into a golden box. When Hyunwoo gets up, he sees some strange beings, and says to himself that he thought it was over. He sees some men bigger and stronger than the monsters coming toward him. They were carrying a carriage. When the carriage stops, there appears Kuoro of Satiety and Sloth. He comes down covered in gold, barefoot, to thank Hyunwoo. He invites him to have dinner with him. Kanwaro asks him about how he was able to survive at such low level, because that was why every other star was also interested in him. Kuoro tells him that Yagolim is not about the thirst for blood. It is about the thirst for money, fame, food, hunger, and everything. He invites Hyunwoo to join him. Moreover, he tells him that he wanted to have all of those when he was just a human. Moreover, he tells Hyunwoo to get rid of all of this anger and be like a snake who eats everything. While Kaworu is done talking, he gets up to stand and moves his hand forward for a handshake while Hyunwoo thinks about it. Hyunwoo takes the hand and bites it. He calls Kaworu a traitor. This makes him angry, so he threatens to kill him. But Hyunwoo is confident that he won't be able to do it, as Hyunwoo is the new variable of the game and no star would let him die. Kaworu is done with Hyunwoo, so he picks up Hyunwoo to kill. At that moment, Augustero, the monstrous star, sends help to save Hyunwoo. As a result, Kaworu has no other options left but to leave Hyunwoo. He even asks for forgiveness from the star and asks everyone to retreat. While Hyunwoo lies in the same way Kaworu dropped him down to gather his energy. Later, when Hyunwoo gains consciousness, he sees Renane. When asked what happened, she told him that she found him with his eyes green and then he bit her. Hyunwoo sees his reward section only to notice that Yagolim has sent him a gift. When opened, it was a common item, a real sword. Hyunwoo tries to use it with his dagger so that it might become something new, and his plan works as the sword changes from a common to a legendary item. Shortly after that, he leaves and returns to the skeleton from where they found the stone which led to all those events. He takes some time to contemplate his actions. After this, he searches the table to know about the skeleton's identity in the real world. There he finds a scary book with full history in detail. So Hyunwoo gets the idea that he would use this to make the world a better place to live. And that's how the first part of this manhwa ends.